My name is Stephen Wilson. I'm Assistant Director and Curator of the Abraham Lincoln Library and Museum. It's interesting that when Abraham Lincoln went to Washington, D.C. in 1861, that was his second trip. He was there from 1847 to 1849 as a junior congressman in the House of Representatives. Now, of course, in 1861, he was going back as the President of the United States, or at least the President-elect. The thing about Abraham Lincoln and Washington, D.C. is they had both changed dramatically. The Washington, D.C. we know today existed, of course, during that period, but just barely. If you look closely at this part of a shaft right here, that's the Washington Monument. Only about a third of that was completed by the time the Civil War began in 1861. The entire monument wasn't completed until 1888, I believe. The Smithsonian, which is on the mall, which is this area right here, that's the original Smithsonian Smithsonian Castle. And that castle contained as much of the collection of James Smithson as could be pushed inside of the building. One of the most interesting places or products of the period was this canal that runs from the Potomac River all the way over to the Anacostia. It was called then the Eastern Branch. And this canal right here was designed originally to move goods from the Potomac to the Anacostia. What happened was the canal ended up being a giant open sewer. These ramshackle buildings right here dumped things in, other occupants dumped things into the canal, including dead cattle, dead pigs, dead horses, anything just to get them off the property. As they did this, what happened is this became highly contaminated, which affected the water supply. It affected the water supply of many of the surrounding buildings, including right here, and you can't see that because of the trees, at the President's Park, the White House. Now, the White House water supply was probably contaminated by this contamination right here in the canal. And as a result, in early February of 1862, Willie Lincoln contracted an illness, typhoid, and eventually died because of the contamination. It was also in this area that there was a cavalry remount station, some 2,000 horses for the U.S. cavalry, and that certainly added to the contamination in the water supply. So what you see here, a woodcut of the period, is an example of what the Capitol looked like. When I say Capitol, I also mean the Capitol building itself. This is undergoing change. Eventually it'll have a new dome and new wings and be a rather amazing looking structure. Right here, last point, is Pennsylvania Avenue. That is about 160 feet wide. It led, of course, from the Capitol down to Abraham Lincoln's executive mansion.